Oh. Heaven is gone. Little bit about Jack and Diane, two American kids growing up in a heartland. Oh yeah, life goes on. Long after. Good morning. A broken computer screen? A broken computer screen? No. Oh, DVD player. It's only half broken then. Oh, your cigarette. That's funny. You had 6 under your seat. I had an army tank under mine. Wow, pretty good hiring. Right. Work on paladin. That is definitely artillery. I wouldn't call that a tank. That is definitely artillery. Yo. Yeah, they're not allowed to call it the hand of God anymore, apparently. Thank you. Yeah, there's something to be said for mobile artillery. 37 now. Yep. And not just with the HIMARS. Like the HIMARS can reach out pretty decent. But the new one that we're trying to come out with, they say it can fire almost 100 miles and it can hit something about 5 meters squared, which is 15 by 15. Yep. Yeah. Like phosphorus? Hey, boys, that's really pretty. Yo, I definitely would not want to mess around with that. That's what they started putting in the first incendiaries when Great Britain and the United States started dropping them in World War II. Yeah. Well, the Germans, it was their, well, I suppose it was probably the British idea first, but the Germans were the first to implement it. And then the Germans made round bombs, and probably within 2 to 3 months of the Germans starting to drop those bombs on London and places like that, the incendiary fire bombs, Britain had their own version. And by that time, Germans had adjusted theirs a little bit differently so that before you could put them out with sand. And then this time they say, well, you can't put it, or no, the first time you had to put it out with water. But then they put something on there so that you couldn't put it out with water either, like a oil or something like that. But you know, I didn't know it burnt down, but I did know this is a different rig. It doesn't have the lights on top. It's also not gray. Somebody else burn it, or did it just happen? Yeah, I got a hand warmer in there, one of them camp stove things that's like the little thing. I got one of those burning right now. Yeah, plus I got my empty gas can right behind my head. Now, even though it's empty, that doesn't mean that it doesn't have vapors in it. Aluminum block. Oh, at least you gotta get new vehicles. I guess this thing isn't new, but I got like $11 to survive the month on. I think I'm gonna try panhandling tomorrow. I gotta try panhandling tomorrow. Panhandling. Well, I shouldn't have to either, but you know, it'd be nice to be able to go back to having a good back and doing manual labor because it's good for the head. Yes, sir. The biggest problem with we the people of the United States of America is it's all about me. That means a lot too. There's a lot of superficial people here, but there's a lot of nice people as well. If the nice people worked together as efficiently as superficial people did, we'd be in a much better world. If peacekeepers together as much as bullies did so as a group, well, we'd live in a much better world. But people don't stand up to bullies, especially not groups of them. Well, except for me, but I get told I'm stupid for it. I might be. That's what I stick with too. I mind my business as best I can, unless someone's getting hurt, and then it's everybody's business. Now I got another feller that gave me some pot that had stuff in it. I had another guy who gave me some pot with some stuff in it. It's like the fifth time since I got Tillamook. Well, yeah. The other gentleman, he took pretty all right. He didn't like admit. He wanted to tell me it was sugar. It certainly wasn't. But I was like, yeah, I didn't smoke that. He said that's understandable. And then he gave me some more, and I, you know, when somebody gives me something, I'm not going to trust that for that. But I throw it all away anyway. I go to the dispensary for it. I figure if I go to the dispensary, I know for certain there's nothing in it. I've had at least half a dozen people come and tell me about friends or relatives that were smoking weed and ended up dying from smoking fentanyl because somebody thought they'd spike their weed with some fentanyl. Well, apparently the hospital's got like 3 overdoses a day there. Yes, sir. I can't even see well enough to see if my fire's on. I got an electric heater, but I don't have any battery left on my car. I done used it all up. So let me just make sure my car doesn't light on fire. I'm just warming up my fingers real quick. I got stalkers on the internet, and now they're making fake profiles to harass people at Safeway. I said I got stalkers on the internet, now they're making profiles to harass people at Safeway. Fuck. It'd be nice if they just, I don't know, either A, pretend I'm a human being, or B, leave me the fuck alone. I don't think either one of those are in the cards. It's funny you say that, because right before you pulled up, like literally both times, right before you pulled up, people were out here in the parking lot screaming. Yes, sir. When they start yelling at you, you yell the same stuff back at them, and then they call the cops and say, "Oh, there's an unhinged crazy person." Like, hey, you come up to me yelling at me. What the hell did you expect? Yeah, there's some definitely different people that hang out down there. Like them youngins that were giving me problems uh, down at Tillamook Oregon parking lot. They gave me problems there. They gave me problems with Red Myers. Yo, they come up here and fuck with me every night too. Just about every night, at least one of them. They do it to a lot of different homeless people, and it's basically encouraged by everybody looking away. When we have a problem, the cops look away, the judges look away, public pretenders look away. Nobody gives a shit. Can't call 911. They'll just send the cops out to harass you. If you get assaulted by somebody, you have to worry about getting arrested. Well, they might just pretend like you assaulted them, and that's good enough. It's fucking crazy. Yes, sir. Well, I'm glad you're not naked. Well, it'd be nice to have something bigger like this, but I wouldn't be able to afford the gas. Hopefully, I get my disability money on the first. I'm gonna need it. Get myself some insurance on this thing and hopefully get it fixed. I was gonna do that this month, but it's been hurry up and wait, same as it was last month and the month before. When people say they'll help, they don't generally show up. Yep, I speak up about that on my YouTube channel because a lot of people do mean well. It's just it takes them so long to come through, and they don't understand that it's an emergency. By the time they do understand it's an emergency, they're well engaged and going, "Oh well, shit, I should have taken this seriously from the start." And then it's 10 times harder to get everything done. And the amount of time it takes somebody to help me turn in just one assault, I'm assaulted close to a dozen more times before somebody even pretends like they're gonna help turn it in. Although there was a lady who helped me turn some stuff in last week. That guy was all sorts of fucked up. His name's Andrew Wolnez, and he just won't knock his shit off. Andrew Wolnez? Nope. It don't matter though. I got some sort of muscular issue preventing me from being able to function physically. Most of that's due to back damage. Alright, I think I'm gonna get in my car and warm up for a bit. It's cold out here. Yes, sir. I always forget your name. Darren. Bullhead or not, they still probably won't treat you too good. I'm glad you get to go to the VA. It just sucks you have to travel to do it. And having to drive yourself with a fucked up foot. Well, is it your left foot or your right foot? Oh, shit. We should probably get them before it starts to abscess. Oh, jeez.
Oh. Oh, shit. That flared right up. The little fire gel stuff that I got, it flared right up as soon as I lit. I said that little fire thing that I got, it lit like right away. It's got some sort of green flammable gel in it. Well, good night, Darren. Be safe, Darren. Merry Christmas. Yeah, Darren was one of the first people here to give me tainted weed. He doesn't smoke weed, he smokes meth. So, or not meth, but downers. Stuff that makes you go slow and talk slow and feel slow. Stuff like Heroin. When he gave me that weed that had whatever it had on it, he said it was meth. I definitely did not smoke it. Ugh. I was actually thinking about talking to the cops about it, because that's a real shady thing to fucking do to somebody. But Darren came and talked to me, and I told him what happened, and he apologized to me. Just like this time, he explained that he doesn't really smoke pot, just people give it to him all the time, so somebody gave him that, and he put it in his bag of his usual drugs, and obviously that didn't go over too good. He didn't really think of it that well when he was giving it to me, because he was already fucked up. It happens. But just like that feller who gave me tainted weed, what was it, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? Like, the guy's real nice, you know. He comes around and tries to give me free hash. He'll charge up my electronics for me if I'm able to run into him, give him a few bucks. But Darren, you know, he was honest about it. He also was apologetic about it. And that does mean something with me. Sure, there's the whole he shouldn't have done it to begin with thing, but you know what? I do give people points for honesty. With Darren leaving, them folks who was yelling might come back and do some more yelling. Of course, it's cold. If they're smart, they're bundled up somewhere. One thing I've noticed in a cold ass car, my speaker ports on my doors are always breezy. I did get some of these bags so I could try to cover the hole, but there is a slight issue right now of the plastic bags are made of plastic, and I don't want them to burn in the process of moving them over to put them in front of the hole. I still need help turning Wolnez. The folks who were going to help me, they're human. They have lives of their own, and when they misunderstand something, it happens. Not everybody who misunderstands something is evil. Not everybody who screws you over did so on purpose. See, the right and wrong of it doesn't come down to whether or not you made a mistake. It comes down to whether or not you're willing to fess up to it. I fess up to my mistakes. I also admit to any crimes that I've committed. But you know what? I shouldn't have to commit crimes. Nobody should have to commit crimes to be heard. Nobody should be told that something is not illegal by the police and then be charged by the police if they either A, threaten to do those things back, or B, their predators play stupid and play victim and pretend that those things are happening to them. They're not. Much like Wolnez, who wanted to do fucked up shit, spread rumors, and literally just not let it go. Now you want to tell me just to let it go. And lots of people tell me this, that I just need to let it go. You really think those people are going to let me let it go? They're not going to leave me alone. Until I have a friend or family member that'll help me turn in crimes when they happen. Or at least within 24 hours of it happening. I literally just have to take it. When bullies get busted, they will play victim left, right, and center. They don't know any other way to be. Now, I've watched human behaviors and human patterns. The lady here who's been trying to help, she was talking about a situation where the professionals were playing stupid. I told her, you know what? I speak about that on my channel. As soon as people start playing stupid, you know that's your cue to leave, because the next thing they're going to do is play victim. Men are more likely to be direct about it. But more likely doesn't mean it's exactly so in every situation. I can't say that every man out there is more honest than every woman out there, because that's simply not the case. We got some people that want to blame everything on men. We got some people want to blame everything on women. I blame everybody. We the people starts off with we the people. That's our Constitution, the very beginning. We the people of the United States of America, in order to create a more perfect union. How many of you strive for that? Then we got a lot of ultra conservative young white women here in this country whose opinions are heard because they're popular. You know, we got a lot of people who are trying to push for people to be traditional. And we got a lot of people who are pushing for people to not be traditional. I don't think any of it should be forced on us. By the way, I don't consider a homosexual couple on TV to be pushing anything on anybody. It's an acknowledgement. An ode to the real world, huh? That's one thing that Hollywood at least gets right. They acknowledge the bad guys. They acknowledge that those kind of people do exist. A lot of the folks that are in those movies are modeled after people that the writers knew or the directors knew. I don't want to waste all my battery because I don't have any way to charge it tomorrow. One of my predators goes by Ted Turner. He also makes Ted Burner accounts and Fred Burner and Fred Turner. One of the fellas that was doing it, he admitted on his YouTube channel what he was doing with me. He definitely played it down as being less serious than it is. He said it was just him and a couple of his friends, but the thing is, they made hundreds of accounts between them. The tough part is getting my voice heard. I have to find a friend or family member that'll listen at least once through before getting stuck on something. So we got to break free of the social niceties before we can come through and find some real solutions. How many people's solutions have been violent solutions? Most of them. Most people's solutions are violent. I ask for help turning the predators in, and what I get is solutions or suggestions out of people. Well, I don't want that. What I want to do is turn my predators in. Now, there's a lot of people who think ultra-violently. And of course, in order to justify their ultra-violence, they'll try digging through for the one time that you might have done something wrong. They don't care if it's true or not. Push that one button over and over and over again. Well, there was the time you this and the time you that. Are you sure? Were you there? Was Wolnez there for any of this stuff he's accused me of doing? No. Was I there for the things that he did to me? Yes, I was. Are those things considered predatory? Yes, they are. As a result, is it out of the question for me to call Andrew Wolnez a predator? Well, with the number of times that he's assaulted me, yes, he absolutely is a predator. And all of his excuses are bullshit excuses. I'm not mean to the drug addicts unless they do something messed up to me. I get on my channel and I rant and rave about drug addicts, don't I? And the horrible things that they do, the horrible things that many drug addicts have done. But also, you get to see there's a lot of drug addicts who helped me to get stuff back. There's a saying, no good deed goes unpunished. When you promise someone that you're going to help them out in the way that they need, and then you don't, it is harmful to all of us. When your idea of helping somebody is to talk over all their problems as if they don't exist, as if they don't matter, as if they're not important. But you don't stop abuse by ignoring it. And that's for certain. A lot of these drug addicts out here, they didn't start off as drug addicts. They started off as human beings, just like you. They started off as babies in someone's womb. They started as innocent infants. And what happened? For many of these people, it's a lot of trauma, a lot of abuse, and a lot of physical harm. That's what it took for them to have the reactions that they have. And a lot of these predators, like them youngins, when they got busted doing stupid shit, they tried to enlist others to do fucked up shit for them. People like Andrew Wolness. But you might have also noticed with all the people on my channel who have volunteered violence that I repeatedly told them no. I don't want anybody to hurt him. I don't want anybody beating him up. But you know what? Most of these people have some pretty sound reasoning when they say, well, he keeps hurting you. He keeps assaulting you. He keeps doing it over and over again. These people say he's got it coming. Well, you know what? If he had the right information, he might have made different decisions. At this point, it's certain that he's already aware how badly he screwed up. Jennifer's talked to him. David has talked to him. Cynthia talked to him. There's multiple people that know him. And many of those people that went and talked to him and asked him to stop nicely, many of them didn't offer to go talk to him nicely. They offered to go hurt him. And I talked them out of it. Being forced into homelessness is completely different from choosing homelessness. For most homeless people, the only choice that they had to make in the situation was whether or not they get away from their abuser. And a lot of them didn't even have that option. When your abuser's name is what's on the rental bill, it doesn't matter that you've been the one paying all those bills. What matters is that your name is not the one on the lease. I go to YouTube for a reason. Same reason I went to Facebook before Natalie Bollinger was killed. Because people were hurting me. Police wouldn't listen. The friends that I had in real life wouldn't listen. They were too busy talking over me, telling me what to do, what to think, what to feel. None of them knowing what the right thing to do is or what the legal thing to do is. They just want to send me around in circles because they assume they know better than me. They assume they know better than everybody else, and they'll dispense all sorts of advice. But the one thing that I needed their help with, I needed them to listen. For most of my friends before Natalie died, most of these friends who promised they'd show up, promised they'd listen, promised they'd help, didn't even know what they were promising to help stop. because they wouldn't shut up. For most of them, when they claimed that they would apportion time to listen, it ended up being me listening to them. They want to make it into a conversation. Now, that's one thing about somebody with Asperger's that is a major point of contention with us. You pretend that we're stupid, like we don't get social cues. That's low-functioning autistic people. For us higher-functioning autistic people, we have to fight for the attention that we need. When we're harmed, we don't get the assistance that you do. If we have a friend or family member who cares, we might. But without that, we're fucked. Now, the lady here who's been trying to help me, she acknowledged that if you go by yourself, you have absolutely no support without a friend or family member if you're autistic in the United States. And that's absolutely true. But the other thing is we can't just hyper-focus on the autism thing. Now, I did ask her a little bit. She's aware that it takes 6 months to diagnose schizophrenia. So she's aware of a lot of different shit that's pretty important. She's also aware that there's a lot of other stuff that has the same exact criteria. Now, there's two things that are very important when it comes to schizophrenia: video and audio hallucinations. It's pretty obvious that, well, for example, when my door's closed and I hear somebody yelling at a distance and it sounds like it's coming closer, you can't hardly hear it on my videos. Not unless you have an external speaker and you turn it all the way up. But as soon as I open my door, it's a lot different. You can hear things a lot better when my door is open. On a cold night like this, if they'd have come back to yell at any point during this video, we'd have pretty well heard that they were making noise at least. Now, I started the video because there was a group of folks out here who do a lot of drugs and do a lot of yelling at night, and they were going by. I don't know if they were yelling at my vehicle. At first, it kind of seemed like they were yelling at each other, but then it kind of seemed like it might have been being yelled in my direction because it was still pretty loud. Usually when somebody walks by the vehicle, the direction their mouth is pointed is the direction that it's going to be amplified in. Unless you're over by the township hall, there's a spot over there where anything that you say is like amplified and echoed. And there's a spot over by the bottle room or the can return room. If you stand in just the right place in just the right direction, it gets really loud. A lot of people want to pretend that somebody with Asperger's, that they're a low-functioning autistic person who grew up under a rock and therefore doesn't know anything about the world. That we must have grown up with manservants and maidservants. When you deny us access to the things that you take for granted every day, when the police deny us that access, do you fight for our rights? Elijah McClain wasn't killed because he was black. He was killed because he was autistic. But BLM don't want to admit that, do they? Who does? Who wants to admit that the people the police are most likely to kill are the homeless and the disabled? Who really wants to admit that in the United States? And then you just pretend that all homeless people are criminals who deserve to be shot. Really? Sounds to me like you're accusing every single homeless person of murder in that particular situation. Judge, jury, and executioner, and you're saying that it's okay for police officers to play judge, jury, and executioner. Well, they already do. That's why the disabled and the homeless are the most likely people in the country to be murdered by police. How many of you guys thought it was their spouses? In the late 70s, the majority of women in safe houses were what they called battered women shelters, but it wasn't just for battered women. They had battered men shelters, just not very many of them. And no self-respecting man would go to one at the time anyway. They were too manly, I guess. Oh yeah, plus the fact that you weren't treated very well. I remember the safe house that my mom went to. Officer Jean LaRue took us to it. And I remember every person along the way treated us like people, talked to us like we were people. Of course, we were kids, me and my siblings, so we were talked to like we were kids, but we were treated well. Our words were important. When you have people in a position of power and someone who doesn't have anyone who gives a shit, how do we stop those people from abusing their power? In Boulder County, Colorado, when there was right around 1,000 people in Boulder, they said there was about 800 to 900 homeless people in the Boulder area. We had over 40 homeless people die that year in Boulder, Colorado. At least over 40 of them that were advertised. Living like this is horrible. Just being able to go to the bathroom without breaking the law is a pain in the ass. This late at night, you might have to travel, like for example, in a Goodspeed Park is probably 3/4 of a mile away. If I wanted to go pee, that's the closest place for me to do so. There's some other bathrooms, but I've checked them at night recently and they're locked at night. I haven't checked them since my car broke down though, because I realistically can't make it that far. I'll end up pissing myself. This video is going on near an hour long, and I haven't heard anybody coming back and screaming and shouting or yelling or starting any trouble. The day Dora was screaming, she came back and got a cigarette and told me she was just some guy took $15 from her and disappeared. Hasn't come back. So she was pissed off at him and she was just venting. She wasn't yelling at anybody she could see. It's just she was pissed off that she felt like she got ripped off for that money. Well, when you're broke, $15 is a lot of money. She also told me she's mentally ill. I let her know that hurts all of us when she says mentally ill because she has actual diagnosis. And nobody has been diagnosed as mentally ill because mentally ill is not itself a diagnosis. It's a blanket term. And it's used only to either A, insult, or B, victimize the victim. Discredit the victim. If I use the term mentally ill towards you, the way that people use the term mentally ill towards me, you won't like it. And no, that's not a threat. That's a statement of fact. When you want to go run around calling people child molesters, well, you don't want to be called a child molester, do you? It doesn't feel good, does it? Of course it don't. When you want to go accusing people of being a murderer, well, you wouldn't like it if somebody accused you of that, would you? Meanwhile, the point here is to get a friend or family member to take a look at the evidence so they know the truth and they can speak out because I'm not allowed. My predators are, but I'm not. Let's hope I can keep these canisters warmed up a bit. As soon as I put the lid on, once they're warm, I put the lid on, put it under the blanket. It seems to stay warm for a couple of minutes. It's difficult to get sleep at night because there are a lot of tweakers and they do make a lot of noise. Then there's them youngins, when they get done fucking around down there at the Tillamook Sporting Goods parking lot, I can pretty well expect them to come up here and either honk their horn a couple of times or drive around my vehicle revving up their engine a couple of times or scream the N-word out the window at me, but at least they're not putting their hands on me, right? People's lives are more important than things to me. But the things that are important to me are important for a reason. A lot of my evidence will put predators away for a very long time. So getting a friend or family member to listen and look so they know what's going on, because they will have to speak for me. They'll have to be able to you're getting blown off. And they'll have to know that that's their time to speak. When that stuff happens, you have to have a friend or family member there who's going to fight for your rights, who's not just going to let them talk over you and talk circles over you and around you and send you around in circles that you've already been to. And they'll try that again as soon as you get somebody who's willing to help you. They'll try to get that person to give up by doing the same exact thing with them. And until they understand that they need to actually speak up instead of letting the cops do all the talking. And that's difficult, isn't it? When the police won't listen to a damn thing that you're saying, they're too busy telling you that it's not their job, even though they don't even know what the fuck is going on. And they don't want to know what's going on because you don't matter. Broke people don't matter. Poor people don't matter. Homeless people don't matter. Disabled people don't matter. The United States is declaring loud and clear that no American matters, regardless of gender, regardless of skin color. We get to see what a blameless society brings us, a lot of blame. We get to see what a corrupt justice system truly is. Is it a criminal justice system, or is it just a criminal system? I say it's criminal. But what do I know? I've only been on this planet for 43 years. On the bright side, I do take screenshots. It's always weird to me when my stalkers tell on themselves and their other accounts. Because they try not to. When something was just posted up 2 minutes ago and you just told me about it, and it's in an obscure part of the internet, it makes me wonder. Somebody got a hold of me tonight and let me know about people typing about me on the Safeway website. And I went and checked. And it literally said it was from 2 minutes ago. And I'm like, well, there's probably a bit of time delay or lag there. It's probably closer to 5 or 10 minutes, depending on how often it updates. But that would have to mean that that guy was sitting there watching the Safeway thing for the exact moments that people are going to start typing stuff up. Now, the fact that they're using old burner accounts makes it easy, because the two people that I saw complaints from, I know both of them. Not in real life. These are internet harassers who have been harassing me since the very end of 2017 or beginning of 2018. There's a lot of people who made accounts and said they would help me and stuff in and They never do. Then they want to get back a hold of me and tell me what everybody else is doing. Well, I wonder why it is that instead of trying to do something to stop it, you're just coming and telling me about it. You're not telling the police about it. You're not telling the state troopers about it. But you know who does get a hold of the state troopers and the police? My predators, often. Anyway, let's hope I can get some sleep. Now, of course, there's a lot of predators who are real pissed off they got busted. They'll do anything that they can to try to fuck up any situation where I might possibly get help and make it as complicated and impossible as they can possibly make it. I save evidence of it, but getting people to listen and to take it seriously, well, it should be taken seriously immediately, but I'm not going to find anybody to do that. However, the more people take a look, the more they realize what's going on. The more they realize what's going on, hopefully the more they'll speak up. Nobody should have ever been threatened. Not my little sister, not my niece, not myself. But it seems to me there's an awful lot of people that will search for any excuse. If you hit me 100 times, you think you should get away with it 100 times. But if I defend myself just once, oh, poor you, you're the victim, aren't you? Sorry, man. We don't play that. Anyway, you know how we end those. It's good to be rid of you. Thank you for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper, and your sister's too. And no victim left behind.